Welcome to I Said What I Said, a sports podcast giving you opinions not heard anywhere else. I'm your host, Brad Wakai, alongside my co-host, Tyson Gentry. Tyson, we got a short episode today that's going to be featured on golf. And normally what we do after every major is come back in and we kind of talk about the winner. We talk about the tournament. And this one was the Open over in Scotland this year. So it's pretty early if you're on the West Coast. If you're on the East Coast, it was still pretty early. I mean, over on the state side, it was a tournament that you had to get up and plan for. Xander Schauffele wins his second major, and we teased that the floodgates might have opened for him after he won the PGA. We just didn't think it would come this soon. So after we kind of touch on that a little bit, we're going to dive into the question everybody's wondering. Who had the better year, Xander Schauffele or Scottie Scheffler, as we are officially done with the major championship season? But Tyson, let's dive into this first and foremost before we get into the pressing question. What'd you think of the Open? What'd you think of the course? All that good stuff.
Dude, I always love the Open. The Open's one of my favorite ones to watch. It like takes me by surprise every year how like ready I am to get up at 2:30 in the morning and like watch some of these groups and everything. So I'm still catching up on sleep a little bit. It takes it out of you. But to me, that's my favorite one to watch. You can go back and forth forever, really talking about the Masters, U.S. Open, or the Open now. I'm old enough to remember when it was the British Open. But I think that like the PGA is kind of, everyone just accepts that that's maybe the fourth coolest, or not most important is the wrong word, but maybe the most prestige. So this one I think carries a lot of weight, and it always eats people up. And we go back and forth and round. Tony Finau's going to have a great tournament. Like Tony's rounding the form, and then the back nine, happens on Saturday, and then Tony no longer is even in contention. Sam Burns goes 6 under on Saturday. It's like, oh, this is a lock. He's finally turning the corner in majors, and then Royal Troon just shows its teeth, right? And it gets all of these guys. And I think that's my favorite part is the Open seems to have the most fun leaderboards, no matter what, out of any major.
Yeah, it's because it just can change in a hurry, right? Like you go from playing stateside where at this point in the calendar, it's just perfect conditions. You're basically playing in the dome, and then you go overseas. You get literally 2 weeks because you play in Scotland the week before. And this year, you stayed in Scotland, played Royal Troon, but the weather is completely different. Like it was raining sideways. The wind is nuts. We know that. So it's just a different test. And some guys are prepared for it, and some guys can play through it, and some guys can't, right? And that's what we see. It's hard to know who that's going to be on a year in and year out basis, right? Like who would have thought that Collin Morikawa, a guy who's won in California, would win the Open? Brian Harman, did anybody think he was going to do that? And he absolutely dominated the Open last season. And then, Cam Smith making a crazy comeback to catch Rory McIlroy. That just came out of nowhere. So things like this happen, and it's fitting, Tyson, that it was Xander Schauffele who just played steady all week, right? Like everybody was ready to crown Shane Lowry after 2 days. Like, oh my God, Shane Lowry, like this is his tournament, right? Oh my God, the upstarts, Dan Brown, Tristan Lawrence, this is fun. Oh, maybe Justin Rose, is this his thing? And then no, it's Xander Schauffele creeping back down there, playing the long game, steady golf, not making mistakes, and he wins his second major of the year.
And you never know what you're getting in this tournament for the first 2 days, right? Because typically we're used to not stacking them on top of each other, but this one is a little bit more spaced out in the Open, and guys can get 45-minute weather windows early in the day or late in the day that aren't available to other people that are playing. So there are some like I think Viktor Hovland got a tough draw to start there, and some of those, like, your tournament's not over, but you're battling to make the cut like Homa was, just based on kind of the weather draw that you get. So that always adds a little bit of intrigue and stuff. But I was pointing to myself with the Brown and like all the upstart guys, but dude, how many times do we have to do this on a major championship weekend where the guy that's never won really anything, or somebody that we've hardly ever heard of, and then they're in contention, and then everyone, well, his tee to green numbers are insane, or he hasn't missed a putt, and it's like, yeah, but the crowd's been with Justin Rose all day yesterday. They were with Shane Lowry all day Thursday and Friday, right? And then things tighten up, and the cream rises to the top, so to speak. And what Xander Schauffele did to that back nine on Sunday was disrespectful, really. I mean, nobody else in the field had a back nine like he did, and we were texting about it. He was, 10 feet of putts away from the firing of 29 to close this thing out.
Yeah, it was impressive. Just an incredible performance to wrap up major championship golf season. And so all four in the books. All four United States of Americans winning the majors. I think they're on a run of 6 in a row now. If I look at maybe 7 out of the last 8.
13 of the last 24 British Opens as well have been won by an American.
Wow. So there you go. I mean, we can't win overseas in the Ryder Cup, but you just go to the British Open and give us a couple good days, and there you are. So let's get into this, though, because this is what I really want to pick your brain on. And I'm curious what you guys think if you're watching this. We'd love to know in the comments. Because for a long time, it looked like Scottie Scheffler was golfer of the year by a mile, right? He's won 6 times out of the 16 events. He won the Masters. He won the Players. He's won multiple signature events. Mm-hmm. But now Xander Schauffele, with his second major of the year, that's the only 2 wins he has in his 18 events. But it's 2 majors. So I want to know, who do you think has had the better year, Xander or Scottie?
Well, that's all about the framing of the question, I think, with that one. Because I think, all the advanced metrics are going to bear out that Scottie Scheffler has been the best player in the world this season. Scottie, I think, has made more money, especially winning some of these elevated events. But if you're asking me, I want the 2 majors. I think that what Xander did in his 2 majors is maybe not more impressive. Maybe that's not the word that I'm thinking of, but it resonates with me a little bit more. I think it's has a bigger impact on legacy, things like that, because forever we had to sit here and listen to people say, Xander's the best without one. And now he's got two essentially in the span of 6 months that he has not only just won, but he bangs in a putt to beat Bryson that he was not afraid over. And that was when it was like, oh man, this guy's kind of figured it out. And then to just kind of run away from everybody on the back nine this year, especially it's the same tournament where we saw Scottie double bogey and then not tap out, but then it was kind of over. He tops a drive 200 yards, and he's not in contention at that point. But I think, to me, the 2 majors carries more weight. I think it does more for Xander Schauffele, and I think, honestly, if you were to ask Scottie Scheffler, he might hold on to that Masters jacket. I don't know if he'd want to give that back, but a lot of PGA Tour players would say, give me the 2 majors over the 6 victories.
Yeah, it's impressive, right? I mean, just the 2 majors here. So, and Tyson mentioned something. I do have the numbers. So if we're looking at the advanced metrics, right, like strokes gained total, Scottie's number 1, Xander's number 2. Strokes gained tee to green, Scottie is number 1, Xander is number 3. Strokes gained off the tee, Scottie is number 4, Xander's number 12. Strokes gained on approach to the green, Scottie number 1, Xander number 5. Really, the only thing that we're looking at here that's ticked in Xander's favor, at least on the ones that I look at, strokes gained putting, he's 10th. And Scottie, we know the issues here. Strokes gained putting, he's 90th. And, maybe we could look at that and say that's the reason why Xander Schauffele has 2 major championships. Scottie doesn't, because he's this incredible ball striker, and you're just waiting for the putts to go in. And sometimes it happens, which it has 6 times in big events, too, for Scottie. And other times it didn't. And that's when he's been out of contention. He's made... this is ridiculous. So both these players are 1 and 2 in the FedEx Cup standings. I mean, Scottie Scheffler is first with almost 6,000 points, and Xander Schauffele second with 4,000, just a little bit above it. Xander Schauffele's made $15.8 million. Scottie's made 28.1. Like, it is an incredible year. So if we're looking at it from that aspect, the better year, by all intents and purposes, we look at the calendar of golf, is Scottie Scheffler.
Yes.
But if we want to go, who do I think had the greater year, right? If we just take one out, it's the 2 majors, right? Like, that's what we talk about when we play golf or when we analyze golf. It's who has the major championships. It's the reason why you and I always push back on the Rory thing, even though people just want to cement him as one of the greatest of all time when he hasn't won anything in 10 years, right? It's the reason why we look at Brooks Koepka as one of the best, because he shows up for majors. And that's the thing we judge on. Yes, it's fine if you can win at the 3M, which is going to be played this week, and it's fine at the John Deere. Like, those are part of the PGA calendar. But there's a reason why there's 4 championships called the majors, and every player wants to win them. And Xander just won 2 of those this season.
Yes, and those are the tournaments where the best of the best are showing up and not to say that they're disregarding things like the John Deere, but look at the field, and like they were preoccupied trying to get ready for the Open. So I think to beat everybody at their best twice, I'm going with Xander. I do not have any pushback for people who are choosing Scottie. I just think that until you get to, the Tiger Woods or the Sam Snead level of like total wins, we don't actually like care all that much. Like, it's very impressive to have, you look back at some of these guys and you're like, man, I didn't realize he won 28 times on tour. And then you go, oh yeah, but he didn't win a major, and that's why he's not in my memory. So at the end, of the next decade, when we're recounting the 2020s, you're going to remember 2024 as the year Xander Schauffele won 2 majors, and you're going to go, oh yeah, Scottie won a second Masters too. By that time, we'll probably have 6 more. So it'll just become like a running thing. But to me, I'm going with Xander. And you mentioned the putting thing with Scottie. I've always thought that he gets kind of hurt by how good he is because, yes, he's first in tee to green and approach shots and all of these things. He's also hitting more greens than everybody else by like a ridiculous margin. You were mentioning he's first in the world this season in a number of things. And some of those people, he's not just first. He is setting records in the amount of strokes that he's gaining in some of these spots. So just an unreal year. I think if I could like take one of their skills and have that as my own game, I might want to be Scottie Scheffler, but that's not the question.
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty lockstep. I thought, we kind of agree, right? Scotty's had a great year by all metrics, man. We're winners here, man. We want the trophies. So let's get into a little Olympic preview. Tyson and I are actually going to do a big preview for the Olympics later, like all those events, but we don't really do a lot of previewing of golf tournaments on this channel, and we do like to do that. So when we take a look here, this could be men's and women's. I'm excited to watch this. This is going to be just like any golf tournament, right? It's 4 rounds, and that's how you decide. So Xander Schauffele is going to have an opportunity to repeat as a gold medalist. Rory Sabatini, silver medalist last season, or last Olympics in Tokyo, which was surprising. I mean, that caught me by surprise. And so when we look at the field here, Scotty's the favorite, plus 310, Xander plus 600, Rory plus 700, Ludwig Aubert plus 1,000, Colin plus 1,200. John Rahm plus 1,400, Shane Lowry plus 1,600, and I'll stop there. You guys can go through that. Those odds are courtesy of FanDuel, but there's heavy hitters in this, and it's like a major. Tyson, when you look at this, I mean, what are you intrigued by? Do you think these guys are going to be serious about it? What's your thoughts?
I do think they're going to be serious about it. I think part of like what was so unique about the last one was that it was the first one, and then it was like, well, Xander Schauffele won a gold medal. How much do we weight that? Like, does that count? Is that the equivalent of winning, one of these signature elevated events, or like, is this like winning a major? What are we doing here? And I think as time goes on, this thing will become more and more serious. And him winning 2 majors kind of helps legitimize this whole thing, because when he first won it, it was like, of course he wins the gold medal, and he can't quite get over the hump. Like the 2019 Masters had just happened, right? And he just kind of pooped down his leg, and it was like, well, he's never going to win one of these. He can have a gold medal. Yeah, I think they're going to take it very seriously. I think this is something that you can, hang your hat on in the world of golf. Say, I won a gold medal playing golf, and it's really impressive. I'm looking at Pavone, brother, like sitting here plus 6,500. It's played in France, and like we had mentioned or before the show that this course has been featured on like the DP World Tour and stuff. Before, this is not somewhere that they're all going to be walking into blind. How electric would that be? That's something maybe to look into for 2028. People in LA just build a new golf course for this, but it's a countryman, man. He's playing. He's in Paris. He's a Frenchman. He had a really good stretch, I would say, this year during the PGA Tour season. I don't know if overall you consider it like a vastly successful season, but he's a great player. And yeah, outside of that, I mean, take your pick. I think once you get over this plus 5,000 number, one of these guys is going to be in contention. We just don't know who. I'm like, if Ryan Fox won a gold medal, I'd probably go, yeah, he's a good player. Like, I guess.
So I'm looking at this here. So they're playing at Le Golf National, if I'm doing my little French thing. This was the Ryder Cup site in 2018. So Tyson, while you're talking about that, it got my juices flowing, right? Because it's a Frenchman, Pavone you like. So Rory played in this. Sergio Garcia, Tommy Fleetwood, Francesco Molinari, John Rahm was a part of that. Brooks Koepka, who's not part of this, I guess. Scotty wasn't. Colin wasn't. And then Wyndham Clark wasn't. So not a lot of edge here for the Americans. Like they haven't played this necessarily. You kind of go to the international guys who've had it. Rory had some good results. Fleetwood had some good results. John Rahm, fine. I'm trying to get some actual numbers here. But, Tommy Fleetwood could be a look here. I'm trying to see if he's in that. Do you see him on here?
That would be so funny.
Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood plus 2,200. There we go.
22.
I mean, that's somebody you could take a look at.
And how, just poetic would that be if Fleetwood finally gets his first win? It's not actually on tour. It's for a gold medal. And then we're like, oh, man, I don't know. I don't know about this thing. But not only
just like Xander Tyson, 4 years later, we just book him to win a major.
Yeah, we can get him for 2. And Tommy winning the Open is everybody's favorite bet anyways. And it's not just the men this year, Brad. Like the ladies tournament is stacked too.
Yeah, let's take a peek at that because 𝐬𝐫𝐫𝐢 is defending her gold medal that she won in Japan in 2021, technically the 2020 Olympics. Now, she's been on a tear for a while. She won, 7 in a row, I believe, on the LPGA. She's the favorite at plus 550, so not as prolific as Scottie is, at least in terms of who they think is going to win this. A lot of international names. It's the Korean women are just fantastic right now in the world of women's golf. So I think you have to give them a look. 𝐮𝐻𝐭 has been fantastic. 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐜 as well. But, I mean, Tyson, I'm looking at 𝐬𝐫𝐽𝐻. I'm looking at Rose Zhang if we're going to go with the Americans. I mean, Nelly can defend her gold. Rose Zhang, this would be a perfect opportunity for her to make a statement as one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on those two as well. I really wanted to bring this up because if you've made it this far into a golf podcast, do yourself a favor and watch some of these women's swings because we get out there as weekend, hackers and we try to swing like Bryson. This is who you need to be. If you could copy any swing on any tour, just make sure yours looks pretty close to 𝐬𝐫𝐽𝐻 and you're doing okay.
I'm excited for it. Not as excited as I am for the rest of the events, though, Tyson. So that's something that we're going to go through in our Olympic preview that's coming out later in the week. We got opening ceremonies coming Friday. It's over in Paris, France. But I think this will be a good venue. I think this will be fun.
Yeah, and it that's the upside here is if it's not a good venue and it's not fun, we don't care all that much because swimming is coming on, and I'm not watching all 18 holes of these rounds.
Exactly. So, okay, like, subscribe, and share the show on the way out. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button. And if you're listening in podcast form, give us 5-star review if you haven't already. And then share the show with your buddies. Stay subscribed because we got a ton more content coming. Football season's right around the corner. You've heard us go on and on about that, but we are coming next week with previews. Like, it is here. We are about a month away from football games starting on the college side and a little over a month away from the NFL kicking off. So we're pumped for that. I teased it. We got Olympic coverage coming or Olympic conversation coming on the podcast later in the week, right before the opening ceremony. So stay tuned for that, and we'll talk to you guys then. Peace.